You staying? Okay, I'll talk. So just for a change, maybe we'll actually get to do a short video today. It'd be amazing. We're here at the start screen for the app, and you can see that I've got one project in there now. I've rebuilt this, and it's called, the new one is called Showpiece. And in fact, it goes to a GitHub repository called Showpiece. And so we've got a little showpiece here. So let's take a look at our showpiece. I actually think this is actually pretty cool. I think this video might be the very first one that kind of really does convey the Novillo reading experience. Okay, so let's go through the steps that'll take us into the app, into the project, and get the screen clear with the first composition ready to go. So at this point, we can start swiping from endpoint 0. So here I go, I'm doing that. And you will see, not too surprisingly, there's that interface hiding, that we get this rectangle, because that's kind of like what we had in the upper left corner of that previous file, or set of files you were looking at in the previous demos, if you've been following along. So that's the intention, and just sort of keep that in mind. So the next thing I'll do is I stop the swiping here, but I'm going to continue swiping now, and I'm going to go a little bit further forward. And as I do, you're going to see is something that's analogous to the rough lines that were there before as well. So we have this little abstract composition that comes together through the sequencing of the lines in a way that is, playing with a number of elements, including line color and line weight, drawing on, and so forth. That's great, and it doesn't really prove anything we hadn't done before, but let me just take you the next step here. So this is what happens between frame or endpoint 30 and 40. And I think this is where Novillo starts to become a storytelling tool. Just those 3 or 4 simple lines drawing on, I guess it's five lines, suddenly turn this from an abstract composition, which the user might look at and say, okay, well, whatever, into asking a question, oh, I can recognize this, what's going to happen here now? And that's kind of the point of Novillo, is you have your drawings, you're the artist, you create these things, you want to present them, you want to tell a story, and in the boundaries of the graphic novel, great, you can do that. You would be presenting this on the screen, what's right there, as your first panel. But here we're managing the disclosure in a way that, through a simple interface, and not too much work, and it becomes, not too many parameters to control, but it still builds this kind of interest and engagement. This is how you can start to think about telling stories now. Okay, well, let's run through it one more time, because, I'm the proud father, and just want to show you again. But also this time, let's just kind of go through without interruption and just run this thing from beginning to end. So starting here, we'll start to swipe. There we go. We see the abstract lines come on. Abstract until 10 endpoints later, that little pause is, I think, important. The mug starts to draw on. And there we go. So our first panel of our story has been now put on screen. The rate at which this disclosure happens is entirely a function of how fast the user swipes. So a user may engage with your story in a really leisurely way, like just savoring it as your lines pour onto the screen, or fade on, or whatever. They may move through it quickly. They want to see that. But either way, it's the function of their rate of movement, not something to do with an animation that is going on here. And that, I think, is maybe the most important distinction between Novillo and other storytelling tools that take the drawing into new realms. Okay, short and sweet, that's all I have to tell you today. I'm very pleased with this bit of progress. This is, as I said in another video, a little bit of a cheat. I'm not only using the interface, I'm also playing with the values in the database directly to get the lines to be what I want and where they want. But that is much more to do with the development that needs to be done in the interface, and not something that I think indicates some kind of weakness, some incapacity of the application to do what I want it to do. Just got to build that interface around it, but right now I'm focusing on getting something out like this, a little more elaborate version of this we'll be following, that allow us to sort of see in a bigger way what storytelling in Novillo is all about. Okay, let's keep it a short video. Thanks very much for watching. Dan, try to understand. I've lived my whole life this way, and now, like Prince Charles becoming King Charles, I'm suddenly the king of Novillo!